Good evening, and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny Talk Show. I'm your host, Jamie Green, and as you know, this is a purpose driven forum where I have intimate conversations with my friends. Some I've met and some I haven't met, but we get together and we just talk about life and our purpose and what we're doing and how we're moving forward. And tonight, I am just beyond thrilled to have one of my sister friends who are also, we could also call each other cousins because of our last name and where she's from and so forth and so on, and you just never know. But she has proven to be a gem in my life, real encouragement, a real blessing. And this month, we know is Women's History Month, and so I wanted to bring together some of the women who have really blessed my life throughout this month, and just number one, let them know how much they mean to me and to find out what's going on with them. So we ask you to like the video and share the video on your page to help support the Let's Talk Destiny Talk Show, and to share the message with other people, because I guarantee something will be said tonight that will bless your life. And so tonight I want to welcome Dorothy. I'm sorry, I'm going to say Dorothy. Darby West. She's a New York native who currently resides in North Carolina. She is a natural born storyteller and a published author. And I'm going to have her tell you a little bit in a few minutes about her journey to becoming a published author, because I think it is a phenomenal story that will encourage someone else who is contemplating a dream or a vision or a goal, something that you like to do, and you may be a little nervous about it. You may be hesitant to do it. And I think that what Darby will say tonight will encourage you. So I'm not going to read a lot of her bio, because I think within a few minutes after hearing her speak, you will be as intrigued by her as I am. As I said, we met on social media, and immediately there was a connection. And she has blessed me in ways I cannot even describe. She's gifted me some of her handcrafted items that are just phenomenal. But more importantly, she has encouraged me and uplifted me in moments when she may not even know that I really needed it. Most of you know that I have a lot of health challenges, and some days it's just really difficult to even move from one room to the other. But it never fails when I see Darby West's name come up on my social media. I know something is going to make me laugh and to make me feel better. So I am honored beyond words tonight to receive and welcome to the platform for the first time, Darby West. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Darby. And I keep emphasizing that you are a extraordinary storyteller, because that's the thing that sticks out in my mind and most about you. But you're also a published author. Tell us a little bit about how you came to that point in your journey where you published your first book.
Well, I started writing my first book, oh my goodness, about 41 years ago. I was married at the time, and we were stationed in New Mexico. He was in the military, and I was exposed to a whole different group of people I've never, had the opportunity to meet before. And so I just started journaling things that was going on around me and in my life, and it evolved into a book. I never thought about getting it published. I just wanted to write. It
Yeah.
was therapeutic. And wow, about 30 years later, I got a job at the library, of course. That's where most writers, jump off at.
Yes.
And so I had all of these discs, floppy discs, and I would just, pass them to this person and that person. Read this book, read this book. And so they were like, why don't you get them printed off and put on a spiral, and then we could just read it and write out what we thought about it. So that's what I did. I took the floppy to Kinkos, and
And they're still around.
yeah, and people He's like, where'd you get a floppy? He didn't even know what it was. So I ended up having to transport them onto a disc,
Okay.
printed them off, and I would attach a sheet on the front of the book or the manuscript, and they'd be able to, write their comments on it.
Okay.
So my first book, Through the Fire, just started circulating around the library, different people reading it, and they were like, "You got to get this published." But I was kind of nervous because I don't know, I just didn't want any criticism,
Yeah.
and I was real sensitive about it, and like most artists are, and so finally, oh my goodness, in 2004, I decided, let me just go ahead and send this book off, get it published. So I started looking for a agent first.
Uh-huh.
So I was sending out all these query letters. I sent out about 300, and I got
Wow.
about 300 rejections.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to have to do this myself. Now, I didn't even do any research. I just sent my manuscript off to a print on demand company along
Okay.
with a check for $5,000.
Oh my.
And that's not the way to do it. I don't recommend that at all because I got 10 free copies, and they ended up
What?
printing, yeah, they ended up printing a proof. Didn't even print the edited manuscript. But I had been on so many book signings,
Yeah.
and no one ever said anything until I guess it'd been out 2 or 3 years. And then this lady came up to me one day, and she had highlighted all of my errors in yellow highlighter.
Mm-hmm.
She was an English teacher.
Oh wow.
And she said, "Look, I got to talk to you about this book." And I was all excited. Okay. She said, "You got so many mistakes."
Ah.
Really? I was so embarrassed. So I sent it off and had it edited by a professional, told that print on demand company to stop publishing it. And I learned the business. And then I published it again. And
And that's very important because so many of us we think because we're writing something and we know what we're trying to say, we're assuming that what we're thinking is what we wrote. And I mean, I do it all the time. I'm in the process right now of working on my first children's book. And I've been working on this book since Jesus was a baby. And my grandchildren keep saying, Nana, you said you were going to write that book. They were like 5, 6 years old when I first started talking about this book. And
Mhm.
now they're like 17 and 18. So they're always teasing me. And I'm like, oh, well, whatever, bye. But my point is, like, what you said about the editing part is so important because once you've put your thoughts on the paper, you think it's all right, it's ready. Like I said what I had to say. Now let's get this baby out there so people can read. But you do have to be careful because there are people out there that take advantage of you. Um, that because I'm at the point now where I'm almost ready for editing. I'm not ready yet,
Mhm.
but I get nervous just thinking about it because there's so many con artists out there. Um, I remember one time sending a lady a copy of a manuscript that I had worked on, and she said that she was a publisher and this and that and other. She wanted to just look at it, and I never got it back, and I never heard from her again. So
Mhm.
I learned my
Mhm.
lesson, from that. But the thing I like about your story is that even though when you received it back with the lady's comments on it, you didn't quit and you didn't give up. And that's important.
Yeah,
So,
that's the main thing. Not
yeah.
giving up.
So you had it published and that was Through the Fire. And then what's your next one?
After Through the Fire, I what was the next book? Oh, it was a romance called The Monkey and the Crocodile, which was an older woman and a younger man,
Oh my.
and it's it's in the process of being re-edited again. I had the same problem with the first book, with the second book that I had with the first, so I'm getting
Okay.
that edited again. But during the pandemic, I published 3 books, and out of the three, one of them is a young adult novel called Finding Becca.
Mhm.
And I did that for a young lady that always was talking about running away from home.
Okay.
She wanted to be grown. She was only 12, but she wanted to be grown. She was sick of her mother. My mother gets on my nerves. I wish I had a different mother. I wish you could be my mother. I would have been the same way. But I said, I'm going to write a
Yeah.
book about a teenager that runs away from home and let her see what happens to young girls that run away from home. Because
Wow.
it's not, you know, you're not going into anything nice when you run away from
That's right.
home.
That's right. It's not glamorous
So
at all.
right, it's a whole different life, and they're not ready for it. So,
Absolutely. So, Darby,
and
let me
then,
ask. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
mhm.
ahead. I didn't know.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, no, no. I want you to finish telling us
Okay,
about
well,
your book because I'm
um,
interested in how you process, um, how you come up with your stories. And so I'm learning something as I'm listening to you talk.
oh, okay. Well, I've been in therapy most of my life. Since I was about 18, I've been in therapy. Um, so, and about 3 years ago, I met a young lady who was my counselor, and she told me something very profound. I had a relative that I was always forgiving, hurt me, forgive, and I would forgive her and let her back into my life, and then she would hurt me again, and it was just a cycle. And so she helped me to understand that you can forgive people and leave them over there,
That's right. That's right.
because even though you're changing, they're not changing. And so it's like all kinds of light bulbs went off, and I was like, oh my goodness. And so I wrote a book about some of my experiences and this young lady, and I've changed it some, changed some of it because I don't want to be sued by anybody right now. But
I know what you mean.
because we some black folks love to sue somebody. That's
That's the
me. I
truth.
know that book is about me. So
That's
I
the truth.
changed it around a little bit, well, a lot, and I told the story from starting from when this little girl is a child
Okay.
who's abandoned by her mother, and she has to live with her father. Then I changed it to no, I'm going to let her mother die,
Okay.
and that way I won't get sued. So the mother in the book actually died, and the father is trying to save his children, so he takes them to live in North Carolina with his parents,
Okay.
which is what happened to me and my siblings. And it was right during the civil rights movement,
Yes.
and so she learns all about the South, and she hates it down there, and so she
Yeah.
goes back to New York, and she just has a cycle of bad things that happen to her,
Yeah.
and she ends up in therapy, and then she ends up in a mental hospital, and then she ends up in AA.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so on her journey, the book just takes you on her journey,
Yes.
and then finally at the end, she's beginning to be a whole person.
Yeah. I enjoyed that book so much because there was so much in it that I could relate to. Um, with regard to the mental health part of it, because we as a people don't like to address mental health at all. We'll point at somebody at the family reunion and say, "That's crazy, Uncle So and So."
Yes,
And that's how they're identified. But nobody actually ever looked into what did that even mean.
right,
And so when you do have issues with regard to your mental health, we tend to be quiet. We tend to be silent because we don't want to be labeled, um,
right.
as crazy or what have you. And so when I read the part of your book where the girl was sent down south and she absolutely hated it because it was like being dropped on another planet, um,
Mm-hmm.
living in New York and living in North Carolina, or down south. I can't remember what state it was, but
Yeah, it was North Carolina.
I absolutely enjoyed the way you told the story because it wasn't like the reader was trying to figure out, well, how did she get down there and what happened. I've read some books, I'm sure you have too,
Mm-hmm.
that like stuff just be jumping all over the place and you got to try to figure out how did that happen? Well, what happened to them over here, and how did they get over there? But
Hmm.
but your book flowed, and I loved that story. Now, as I listened to you talk about your writing, Darby, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I want to have you share with the audience is, do you feel like you have found your purpose? And if so, what in your words is your purpose?
I um I have I have found my purpose. I'm a storyteller, and I've always I can remember being a very young child, and somebody will ask me, "So how's everything?" And I tell them everything that went on in our house the night before. So I've always been able to tell stories, and but in 1997, I got a job working at the library, and I met a storyteller at the library. Her
Okay.
name is Pat Stepney, and she's phenomenal. And so she says, "Let's go. I want you to go with me to the storytelling festival up in Philly." So, okay. So the library paid for our trip, and at the time, I mean, from the moment we walked into the hotel, and I saw all these beautiful black people, I I found my purpose. I'm supposed to be a storyteller, and so I took everything in, and but when I joined the group in North Carolina, the North Carolina Association of Black Storytellers. Now, when we would go out to perform, I always wanted to be last. It was about 10 of us, so everybody be telling their story, and we knew in the beginning how much time each of us had. But some of us are long-winded, so I'd be sitting there praying, "Oh God, please let them go over," because I was scared.
Yeah.
And usually they went over, and I didn't get a chance to tell the story. And then it got to the point one day, one of the president of the organization, she says, "You only got 3 minutes left. Can you tell a 3 minute story?" She ain't said nothing but a word. I got up there, boom, bam, boom, boom. And I wanted to snap my finger and go sit down. Everybody was clapping and like, oh my goodness. And then after the performance, people were coming up to me and wanting autographs. I'm like,
Wow.
autograph? All I did was tell you something funny.
Yeah.
I wasn't worthy of giving somebody an autograph. But I I enjoy telling stories and I enjoy writing them, but I enjoy writing them more.
Okay.
I have about 80 manuscripts that I have not even published yet.
Wow.
Just sitting around collecting dust. Just collecting dust. And every once in a while I pull one out and read it.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my next book. And then I pull another one out. Oh no, this is gonna be it. Then
Yeah.
I pull out another one. But I enjoy writing and telling
Wow.
stories.
That's powerful. So, since this is Women History Month, and I didn't want to get caught up in just acknowledging the women in the past who've accomplished great things, because I know too many women right now, including yourself, that are doing great things that are impacting the lives of others. And so, this is what I want to do this month: is talk to my sister friends who are impacting lives right now. So, as a woman, what would you say is your greatest asset or ability?
Um, hmm. I think empathy, being empathetic. If I was rich, I would give every dime I had to someone in need. I'm that person who sees someone standing on the island with that sign that
Yeah,
says, "I'm hungry."
yeah,
Now I'm gonna do either one or two things. If I don't have money to give them,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask them, "What's your favorite meal?" And I'm gonna get them something to eat,
I
just in
believe
case
it.
they're going to get wine.
I believe that.
I'm that person. Um, there's a young man that I met when I first came back to Winston Salem, and was on the island one day. It was cold too. He had no hat on, and he had on no jacket. and it was in the 20s. And
Wow.
he was standing there holding the sign, and he was shaking like this. And I said, I had some money at that time. So I rolled my window down. I said, "Hi, what's your name?" And he told me his name. I said, "Come get in." He was like, "What?" I said, come and get in. Hurry before the light change." So told me his story as I was driving. He told me that he had been married, he lost his job, and he had two kids, and his wife had left him, and his kids needed winter clothes, and he just didn't have any money to get them. I said, "We're going to Target. I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. I want you to pick out what you need for your children and meet me at the register in 30 minutes." And so he did, and he had coats and sweaters and jeans, and I told him. He said, "Is this too much?" I said, "No. If that's what you need, it's not too much." So he got his stuff, and I gave him some money so he can get something to eat for dinner, and that's my purpose. If I
Wow.
got it, somebody else can get it.
I love it. I love it.
So,
Wow. I'm trying to keep myself from crying. That's powerful because we don't see a lot of empathy in the world today. People have become so cold and callous and um, hard-hearted and desensitized because they're like it's always some trauma going on. Well, that's true, but that's been going on since the beginning of time.
right,
So we have to be careful that we don't become so desensitized because there may come a day when you're the person that's in need and you're going to need somebody to reach out to you. And that's
right.
one of the reasons I love you um, because when you see a need, like with me, for example, I talk sometimes about how I used to travel all the time and I used to do ministry and I used to help people and I used to do this, that, and other. And now, because of physical reasons or what have you, I'm not able to do a lot of what I like to do. And
Mm-hmm,
so sometimes I have needs and I just really don't even want to ask because, some of the people that you think the people that you helped would help you, but they don't.
mm-hmm,
And God always sends somebody along to say, I see that you have a need. I'm going to take care of that for you. And you
mm-hmm,
are one of those people that has blessed me um, with items. You blessed me with words. I just really want to give you those flowers while you're alive because I'm not, I can't get with the wait till somebody's dead and then everybody's coming with a story about
mm-hmm,
how much they love them, but they never told the person when they were alive. So I want to publicly thank you for being who you are and for just loving people the way that you do. Okay, let me get myself together because I'm the host. I'm not supposed to be crying. All right. What is your ultimate dream or vision?
I would like to get me again. I would I it's my goal to reach as many people as I can that now and to reach people, young adults, because I have a couple of young adult novels, and so that's my ultimate goal, is to start promoting, what I've done and what I plan on doing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. I have one more question I want to ask you. Um, and then I'll
Hmm.
leave it open for you to share anything that you'd like to share. Um, my superpower, everybody talks about their superpower. I think my superpower is being spiritually sensitive because, like, I can see a lot of things and feel a lot of things, some that I don't want to see and feel, but I do see and
Hmm.
feel a lot of things. What would you say your superpower is outside of being um, emphatic and being an empath? What would you say your superpower is?
I am. I'm like you. I can sense things. Like if I'm around somebody and I can sense when they're sincere from the gate. I can sense where this person is not sincere. This person is trying to run a game. Um, and so far, I have not been wrong. If I just listen, because people usually tell you exactly who they are when you first meet them.
That's true.
You know,
That's true. I
sometimes we
love
ignore it and move on and develop relationships and friendships with them, and then we end up getting hurt.
right.
But we knew from the beginning.
That something wasn't right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hmm.
All right, Ms. Darby, what are you currently working on? What can we look forward to this year from Darby West? I know you said you
I
got you
I'm
said you
working
got
on.
80 manuscripts over there.
I'm trying to tweak one called Daddy O, about a single father.
Oh wow.
Um, we call him the baby daddy, but this brother uh, steps up and takes responsibility for his child because he finds out that the mother is on drugs and almost homeless, and the children have to fend for themselves. So he takes his daughter as well as her little sister, who is not his daughter. So I'm working on getting that tweaked up and cleaned up and stuff so I can present it to an editor. But it's
Powerful,
called
powerful.
Daddy O. Mhm.
I would love to read that. I don't read a lot of stories. I don't see a lot of stories about men or fathers, I should say. So that would
Mhm.
be fantastic. I would love to read that. So, Ms. Darby, how can um, our listeners reach you, contact you if they want to reach out to you? They invite you to a story telling event or whatever. They just want to connect with you. How can they reach you?
Well, I have a website. I have a Facebook page, North Carolina Association of Black Storytellers. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. My email address is Darby West, the number one at AOL.com. Um, and that's how they can reach me.
Powerful. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience before we leave tonight?
Um, no, but I would like to thank you for this opportunity. And I do want to tell them why I call you my cousin. The first time I saw that smile, I said, "Oh my goodness, we got the same smile. We got that gap.
Yeah,
Our last names are Green with the E on the end."
that's right.
And I saw a picture of your father, and I said, "Her father looks just like my grandfather." So I'm doing my family tree now. So don't be surprised if a leaf shows up on your
Okay.
tree, and we are indeed related.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeedy. But ever since she said that to me, we've been calling each other cousins. And
Yep.
every now and then I reach out to her, "How you doing, cuz?" And she'll reach out to me, "What you doing, cuz?" And
Hmm.
it's an honor. It's an honor to be connected to such a soothing spirit.
I feel the same
Um,
way about you.
I feel like no matter what's going on with you, even when you're telling your stories about your loud neighbors or just anything, like sometime before I finish reading, I'm gonna laugh or at least smile because you're the way you tell stuff is very soothing to me, and I love it. And I want to encourage you. Also, tell us a little bit about your painting that you do.
We're having a bad storm here in Winston Salem, so that's why
Yeah,
I'm going in and out. You're going in and out.
no problem. But
It's storming.
I know that you're an artist as well, um, with regard to your drawing and your painting, what have you. And I want to encourage you to keep using all the gifts and the talents that you have. Yeah, I think we lost Miss Darby. They are having a storm down that way. So if she's able to come back in, we're going to say a good night. And yeah, I think we lost her. But they are having a storm down in North Carolina coming up this way, I believe. So, again, I want to thank Darby West for joining me, the storyteller extraordinaire that she is. And I understand. I understand. You know, you can't control the weather. So I'm gonna
No,
let you get off of here. I'm gonna let you get off here in just a couple of seconds. But I do want to again thank you for joining me. I appreciate you so much, and be safe. That's the
thank
most
you. Thanks
important
for
thing.
having me.
And see, you had no reason to be nervous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, we'll talk soon, cousin.
Okay. Have a good
Okay,
evening. All right.
good
Bye bye.
evening. Bye bye.